The next time you hear the government borrowed another $1 trillion, pause for a second. Because that money didn't disappear into thin air. It went somewhere. And some people got paid immediately. Not taxpayers, not future generations. Right now. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When a government borrows money, it's not begging. It's selling something. And there are buyers lined up. This matters right now because government debt is exploding everywhere. The US crossed $34 trillion. India crossed 180 trillion rupees. Europe is juggling numbers so large they don't even feel real anymore. And every year, the borrowing keeps going up. So the real question isn't, can governments afford this? The real question is, who is making money from it? Let's start at the moment borrowing actually happens. When a government needs money, it doesn't walk into a bank and ask for a loan. It creates IOUs. These are called bonds. A bond is just a promise. Give me money today, I'll pay you back later, with interest. That's it. No mystery, no magic. Then the government auctions these bonds off. And this is where things get interesting. The first people allowed to buy are not regular citizens. They're called primary dealers. Big banks, massive financial institutions, names you'd recognize if you saw them on a skyscraper. These institutions buy bonds in bulk, billions at a time, at slightly better prices than everyone else. So the first people who get paid when the government borrows are banks. Not because they're evil, but because the system is built that way. Now here's the part most people miss. That money banks use, it's often not their own. It's your money. Your pension fund, your retirement account, your insurance premiums, your mutual funds. When you save responsibly, a huge chunk of that savings is quietly loaned to the government. You don't see the transaction, you don't sign the bond, but your money is there. So technically, yes, you are a lender to the government, but you're not the one setting the terms. Next in line, central banks. This is where things start to feel surreal. Central banks can buy government bonds using newly created money. Not tax money, not borrowed money. New money. This is how governments borrow without anyone visibly lending. During crises, this process goes into overdrive. Trillions created, bonds absorbed, interest rates pushed down. It looks calm on the surface, orderly, controlled. But underneath, the math starts bending. Because when a central bank buys government debt, the government is effectively owing money to itself, which sounds harmless until inflation shows up. Now zoom out. Foreign governments also buy these bonds. China, Japan, oil-rich countries with excess cash. This is not charity, it's leverage. Owning another country's debt gives you influence, not control, but pressure. And suddenly, borrowing isn't just economics, it's geopolitics. Now let's talk about interest. Every bond pays interest. That interest is paid regularly, year after year. This is where the real money is. Governments don't just pay back the principal, they pay ongoing interest to bondholders. In the US, interest payments alone are now larger than the military budget. In many countries, interest is one of the biggest government expenses. So when governments borrow trillions, the biggest long-term winners are not politicians, they're bondholders. The people and institutions who already have money, who get paid simply for owning the promise. Here's the irony. Borrowing is often sold as stimulus, as spending for growth, for jobs, for the future. And some of it does go there. But a large, quiet portion flows upward, through interest payments, into balance sheets, into portfolios. It's not a conspiracy, it's math. Now here's the uncomfortable part. Debt rarely gets paid off. It gets rolled over. Old bonds are paid with new bonds, borrowing to pay borrowing. As long as confidence holds, this works. Markets stay calm, rates stay manageable. But if confidence cracks, borrowing becomes expensive, interest rises, budgets strain. And suddenly, the question, who gets paid, turns into who gets squeezed. Taxes, spending cuts, inflation. The cost always lands somewhere. So when you hear, the government borrowed another $1 trillion, understand what's really happening. Banks get fees, investors get interest, central banks expand balance sheets, and the public gets a promise that this will all work out. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. But the next time someone says government debt doesn't matter, ask them one simple question. If it doesn't matter,
Why are so many powerful people getting paid when it grows?